Right now, at this exact second, somebody in Lagos is watching a documentary about drug cartels. Somebody in Seoul is 3 episodes deep into a rom-com. A kid in Austin is rewatching the same Marvel movie for the fourth time this week. And every single one of them thinks they are just watching TV. They are not. They are the product. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, these are not entertainment companies. They are the most sophisticated money machines ever built, disguised as a binge-watching platform. And in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you how exactly they do it. How they turned a $7.99 subscription into a $300 billion industry. How they make money when you watch. How they make money when you don't watch. And the one strategy that none of them wants you to understand, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. So let's get into it. Let's start with the most obvious revenue stream, and then I'll show you why it's far more complicated than it looks. Subscriptions. You pay every month, they provide you access. Simple, right? Not even close. Here's the first thing you need to understand about the subscription model. It is not about charging you once, it's about charging you forever. Netflix, as of 2024, has roughly 270 million paid subscribers globally, at an average of around $13 to $15 a month, depending on the plan. That's somewhere between $3.5 and $4 billion per month. But here's the genius part. It doesn't feel like money leaving your pocket. At a $15 subscription, you don't feel it. You don't think about it. It's less than a lunch, less than a tank of gas. And that psychological invisibility is one of the most intentional designs in the history of business. There's a term for it in behavioral economics, pain of paying. When you hand over cash or tap your card for a single purchase, you feel it. There's friction. But a subscription, the pain disappears. The charge happens silently, automatically, monthly, and we just stop thinking about it. Netflix studied this. They know that most subscribers dramatically underestimate how often they actually use the service. And some subscribers don't use it at all for months, but they keep paying because canceling feels like a bigger decision than it actually is. This is called subscriber inertia, and it is worth billions of dollars. Now, add to this the tiered pricing strategy. Netflix doesn't just have one plan, it has 3, sometimes 4, with different prices and features. Standard with ads, standard, premium, extra member slots. This isn't customer service. This is price discrimination in the technical economic sense. They are extracting the maximum willingness to pay from every segment of their audience. A student in a developing market pays less. A household in the US that wants 4K on 4 screens pay more. Same content, different pricing, optimized for every wallet. And then there's the ad supporter tier, which is where things starts to get really interesting. But we'll come back to that. For a long time, Netflix's whole identity was no ads. It was a selling point, a badge of honor. Reed Hastings himself, the co-founder, said publicly he couldn't imagine putting ads on Netflix. That was 2020. But late 2022, Netflix launched its ad-supported tier. And within a year, it was one of the fastest growing segments of the business. Why the change? It's simple. Money. Here's how the ad model works. You pay a lower monthly price, say $7 or $8 instead of $15. In exchange, you sit through 4 to 5 minutes of ad per hour of content. Netflix then charges advertisers for access to those eyeballs. And this isn't cheap advertising. This is premium advertising. Netflix can charge what's called a high CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. Because the people watching Netflix aren't random. They are logged in. They are identified. Netflix knows who they are. Netflix knows your age, gender, location, viewing habits, what genres you favor, what time of the day you watch, how long you watch, whether you finish a show or you drop off at episode 3. That is an advertiser's dream. Compare that to, say, a billboard on a highway. Who is seeing it? You have no idea. Could be anyone. But when Netflix tells an advertiser, we will put your luxury car ad in front of 35 to 50-year-old high-income professionals who have been watching financial documentaries, that's surgical targeting. And that commands premium CPMs. We are talking $40, $50, $60 or more per thousand views in some markets. Hulu has been running this model far longer than Netflix. Their ad business generates billions annually, and for years, it was Hulu's primary revenue driver. Amazon Prime Video followed suit in early 2024. They didn't even ask, they just switched ads on for all subscribers and said, pay more if you want to remove them. Bold move, controversial, and almost certainly profitable. The ad tier is essentially a way to monetize subscribers twice. Once from the subscription fee and again from the advertiser. You are paying to watch the ads, and the ads are paying Netflix to show them to you. Think about that. Now we need to talk about something that most people get wrong about Netflix and streaming platforms. People look at the billions spent on content. The $17 billion Netflix spent on content in 2023 alone. And they think, that's an expense. It's not. It's an asset. Here's the distinction, and it matters. A traditional TV buys a show, airs it, and then it's done. The moment it's spent, the eyeballs move on. Netflix buys a show, or more often, makes a show, and that show lives on their platform forever. Squid Game, Stranger Things, Wednesday, The Crown. These aren't one-time events. They are assets that keep generating subscription, keep reducing churn, and keep attracting new members years after the first aired. This is what it's called, content-driven subscriber acquisition. And here's the economics. Netflix doesn't need every piece of content to be a global hit. They need the right content to attract and retain the right subscriber. There's a metric they track obsessively. It's called the efficiency score, or sometimes content efficiency. Essentially, how many subscribers did the show acquire or retain, divided by what it costs to make. A show that costs $10 million to produce, but keeps 500,000 subscribers from canceling for another year. At $15 a month, that's $90 million in retained revenue. That show paid for itself 9 times over. Netflix uses massive amounts of data to predict, before a show is even greenlit, what will perform well with which audience segments. They know which genre are underserved, which storylines have completion rates, which stars drive subscriber loyalty. Their content decisions are not gut feeling. They are data-driven financial investments. And original content has one huge advantage over licensed content. When Netflix licenses a show from another studio, say Friends or The Office, they pay a fee. And when that deal expires, that content can leave. When Netflix owns the content, they produce it themselves. It stays on the platform forever. No renewal fees. No leverage for a third party. Ownership is the moat. This is why Amazon built Amazon Studios, why Apple TV makes its own originals, why even Disney, a company sitting on 100 years of content, still produces a new stuff exclusively for Disney+. Original content is equal to owned asset, which is equal to perpetual revenue. Okay, I need to pause on Amazon Prime Video specifically, because its business model is genuinely different from the others. And understanding it teaches you something profound about how modern tech companies think about money. Amazon Prime Video is technically not a standalone streaming service. It's a perk. When you sign up for Amazon Prime, you're signing up primarily for free shipping, and maybe Prime Day deals, and maybe same day delivery. Prime Video is bundled in. It comes with a package, which means Amazon doesn't need Prime Video to make a direct profit. Let us sink in for a second. Netflix needs its streaming revenue. It's their only business. Amazon can run Prime Video at break even, or even at a loss, because Prime Video exists just to justify the Prime membership. And Prime members spend on average significantly more on Amazon than non-Prime members. We are talking potentially hundreds of dollars more per year. So every dollar spent on the blockbuster Prime Video exclusive, like the Rings of Power, which reportedly cost over $700 million for just one season, that's not just a content investment. It's a retention strategy for Amazon's entire e-commerce ecosystem. Keep people subscribed to Prime, keep them buying on Amazon, keep the flywheel spinning. And then in 2024, Amazon went ahead and inserted ads into Prime Video, essentially creating a third revenue layer on top of e-commerce and subscription fees. This is a vertical integration at its finest. Amazon isn't in the streaming business. Amazon is in the everything business, and streaming is just one more lever. Quick pause here. If you're the kind of person who enjoys understanding how the money actually moves behind the businesses you interact with every day, this channel is for you. We do deep dives like this every week, no fluff, no surface level takes, just the real business mechanics. If that's your thing, hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, and it means you'll catch every breakdown we put out. Now, back to it, because we've only covered the front end. The back end is where it gets wild. Here's the thing nobody talks about when they talk about Netflix. Netflix is one of the largest behavioral data companies in the world. Think about what they know about you. They know every show you've ever watched, every show you started and abandoned, every show you watched 3 times. They know what time you watch, whether you watch alone or with someone else based on your patterns. They know what you searched for but never watched. They know what thumbnails you've clicked and which ones you scroll past. They know whether you skipped intros, whether you fast forward through slow scenes, whether you rewatch specific moments. This is not passive data collection. This is one of the most detailed behavioral profiles ever assembled, at scale, across 270 million people. Now, Netflix is careful about saying they sell this data. And technically, they don't sell raw data, but they use it. They use it to make smarter content decisions, which shows to greenlight, which genres to bet on, which actors have genuine audience loyalty versus just press coverage. They use it to train their recommendation algorithm, which is basically the engine of their entire business, because the recommendation algorithm is what keeps you watching, and the longer you watch, the less likely you are to cancel. They use it to personalize thumbnails. Literally, the image you see for a show might be different from the image your friend sees for the same show. Netflix A/B tests this constantly. And increasingly, they use it to offer advertisers audience segments, not raw data, but targeted placements based on inferred behavior, which for advertisers is just as valuable. Data is the oil, and streaming platforms are sitting on the biggest well. Beyond subscriptions, ads, and data, streaming platforms make money in ways most viewers never think about. Licensing. When Netflix produces a show that becomes a hit, a global hit, that IP becomes valuable everywhere. Netflix doesn't just stream it in 190 countries. They license it to local broadcasters, airlines, hotels, DVD distributors in certain markets, and foreign streaming platforms that don't compete directly with them. A show like Squid Game, Netflix reported it generated over $900 million in value. But that's not just subscription revenue. That's licensing deals, merchandise agreements, branded partnerships, cultural impact that drove millions of new subscribers globally. And then there are co-productions. Netflix often doesn't fully fund a show. They will co-produce with a local production company, a traditional broadcaster, or a studio, sharing both the cost and the rights. This lets them spread their content budget further, enter local markets with authentic storytelling, and still retain global streaming rights. In markets like South Korea, India, Nigeria, Brazil, Netflix invests heavily in local content, not just because it's culturally respectful, but because it's strategically profitable. Local hits become global hits. Squid Game is the proof. Money Heist is the proof. Sacred Games is the proof. And the production cost of Korean drama is a fraction of a US drama, with potentially the same global upside. That arbitrage is a business model on its own. Now, I told you at the beginning of this video that there was one strategy that none of these platforms want you to fully understand. Here it is. The entire business model, every single piece we've discussed, is built around one metric: churn. Churn is the percentage of subscribers who cancel in a given period, and it's the single most important number in the streaming business. Here's why. Netflix spends roughly $1,000 or more in marketing and content costs to acquire a single new subscriber. At $15 a month, they need that subscriber to stay for years before they break even, let alone profit. So the entire product, the entire experience is engineered to reduce churn. The autoplay feature, anti-churn. It removes the decision point between episodes. You don't decide to watch the next one, it just starts. The personalized recommendations, anti-churn. They ensure you always have something interesting to watch, so you never feel like you've run out of content. The simultaneous release of entire seasons, anti-churn. Binging a full season in a weekend creates a sense of urgency and completion that monthly episodes drops don't. The "are you still watching" prompt that some people find annoying. It exists to keep you from falling asleep, so the algorithm continues to record your preferences accurately, which then makes better recommendations, which reduces churn. Even the thumbnail testing, even the email reminders about new episodes, even the top 10 in your country lists, which is partly social proof designed to make you feel like you are missing out if you cancel. All of it, every single design decision, aimed at one thing: keep you subscribed. And the scariest part, it works. Netflix average subscriber stays for years. Hulu's churn rate is carefully managed. Prime Video benefits from Amazon's ecosystem locking. This isn't a coincidence. It is precision engineering applied to human psychology. So let's zoom out and put this all together. Streaming platforms make money through 5 main channels. 1. Subscription fees, multiple tiers, psychologically designed to be invisible. 2. Advertising revenue, especially on cheaper tiers, powered by first-party behavioral data that no other advertiser can match. 3. Content as a compounding asset, originals that own forever, IP that spans licensing, merchandise, and cultural catch. 4. Ecosystem integration. Amazon's model especially, where Prime Video isn't just entertainment, it's the glue holding a much bigger commercial engine together. 5. Data, the intelligence layer, which fuels content decision, ad targeting, and product design, and makes the entire machine more efficient over time. And all of it, every single dollar, is protected by the anti-churn architecture. Now here's what I want you to take away from this as a business-minded person. Netflix and these platforms are not special because they have great shows. They are special because they built recurring revenue machines with compounding data advantages and psychological lock-in. That formula, recurring revenue, data flywheel, low churn, is not unique to streaming. You can see it in Spotify, you see it in Adobe, you see it in Apple, you see it in every great SaaS business. The model is replicable. The insight is transferable. The question is, what industry is waiting for someone to apply it on?